there's this girl, this high school runner that was doing track, competing at the high school. She was a runner and winds up collapsing at the finish line.
Maggie Williams just seconds away from setting the Summit School record in the 800 meter. A moment of glory, overshadowed by this moment of concern. Williams finished in 2 minutes and 8 seconds, collapsing as she crossed the finish line.
I felt like I just wasn't being able to get a full breath, and multiple times of that happening, not being able to get enough air, I just felt super dizzy and then eventually passed out.
Williams blames her lack of oxygen on the mask she's required to wear during competition.
Clearly in the past this has never happened, and then this race that I was wearing a mask, it did happen, which I don't think is a coincidence.
Her coach echoing that belief, saying this was not a conditioning issue, it was a mask issue.
It was a different response than I've seen for kids that have collapsed to the track just because they were exhausted. She wasn't sure where she was.
Turnbull told News Channel 21 he considered not letting his athletes run again with the current guidelines in place. So he and Williams called on the Oregon Health Authority to make a change.
We were so fortunate it didn't end up in a real serious injury with Maggie, but we shouldn't gamble on the next one.
OHA listened, releasing this updated mask mandate Monday afternoon. The guidance will allow people to take off face coverings when competing in non-contact sports outdoors and maintaining at least 6 feet of distance from others and the other virus protective protocols.
Why are they doing this to kids at the school? Why is this still happening? I mean, you're outside, you're running, you're not close to people, and you're forcing people to wear a mask. I mean, thank goodness in Florida that we don't have to deal with this really that much. But my goodness, people. Are you really willing to risk the lives of these kids that are trying to compete in sports for a mask? I mean, we already know and have looked at the data that it's almost impossible for somebody to get the virus or to transfer it to somebody from another person when you're outside, because it's an open air environment. There's no air conditioner. There's no recycling air. There's none of that going on. Why in the world is it that you got these girls running around this track with a mask on? How is that not even child abuse? I mean, this is crazy. It's absolute foolishness that they're allowing for this to happen. And all it's going to take is for somebody to die. One kid that just pushes themselves too hard with a stupid mask on is going to wind up dying, and who's to blame? Who's that death going to fall onto? Now, it's a good thing that they, repealed this, or at least giving them some leeway on not wearing the mask, but for goodness sakes, none of this should be a concern at a high school like this. These people are already healthy, they're young, what do they have to worry about? It's crazy that this is still going on right now in certain states. And like I said, if somebody dies from this stuff, from having to wear this mask, trying to compete in sports of all things, I can only imagine that the governor or whoever imposed those rules walks off scotch-free. It's not my fault, just like the nursing home deaths. Don't care. It just gets swept under the rug. They are outside. These kids should be able to do these sports without having to worry about all of this stuff. I mean, the fact that they're even trying to maintain 6 feet of social distancing outside while they're trying to compete, it's absolutely crazy. Seeing people like, oh, we're wrestling, but we got our masks on. That's going to make all the difference in the world. There's already been tests and everything showing that your blood oxygenation is significantly worse when you're wearing the mask. I don't know why we're putting kids in this situation, because it's only endangering them. It's hurting them. This is not a good idea. Get rid of this stuff out of the schools. And yet you have Biden that's saying at his address that he's just going to dump all of this extra money into public schools. I don't think anybody wants their kids in public schools anymore. Not at this rate, not looking at stuff like this. Private schools are open. Charter schools are open. Homeschools, obviously they're doing their thing. Why is it that we are consistently having our public schools be the stupidest place to send our children? You just watched a clip from The William Hall Show. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.